So in this latest episode of Suicide Squad Isekai, everyone casually dies. All the orcs, Beanstalk, rest in peace my boy, you deserve so much better. And then they also do a bait and switch with seemingly only Harley Quinn being the one to make it out alive. I don't think many viewers are going to actually think everyone in that moment died. My assumption was at worst that one of them would have been fatally wounded and we would have had to heal them or something. But no, the group survives, but yeah, I mean, after last week's episode, I was a little worried for Beanstalk. I thought maybe he might make it out. Nope, they all didn't. This elven army and these scumballs come in and quite literally destroy Christmas, and it was brutal to see. Animation insane. But in general, when I look at episode 5 and now I look at episode 6, it feels like we're in a much stronger trajectory for the Suicide Squad Isekai. Of course, every week I see people complain that it's not complex enough, it's not, oh, how is this the ReZero author when I'm expecting all these crazy twists and turns. Listen, sometimes people can do stuff because they want to make a fun superhero story. And at the end of the day, some of the best superhero media out there isn't even that complex. Honestly, one of my favorite cartoons is the Batman animated series. Batman the animated series, one of the best superhero things ever made in my humble opinion, and honestly, it's a pretty popular opinion to say online. And yes, there's a few episodes, a few two-parters that you can look at and say, damn, that was some really good stuff. But in general, it's just a fun superhero story. Nothing really that crazy and complex, but that's what superhero stories mostly are. It's just fun. And I think the reason I enjoy the show so much is now that it's really kind of getting more into that isekai side fancy element. And yes, I've seen the criticisms, oh, it doesn't feel enough like Suicide Squad. This is how these characters should interact. If every writer who handles superheroes wrote characters the exact same way as everyone before them, we'd have a pretty boring series of stories using these wonderful characters. So for me, I'm loving it. The first 4 episodes, quite fun, but 5 and 6 I actually think took it up a couple steps. And I mean, it's kind of sad, but it's true. The Suicide Squad is probably the most competent people in the kingdom, as the queen bitch is literally ruining Christmas. Now, of course, I have full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full and good thought to any of these episodes, it's going to be over there exclusively. So, we ended episode 5 with them seeing everything burn. And obviously, there was a lot of dead bodies, but you know, I actually legitimately thought Harley Quinn's friend was going to make it. And if not, I thought he might put up, and the fact that he had a smile on his face as he gets his head cleanly cut off, pain. Absolute pain. But it was nice, man, because they came out, like, they skipped, they're like, hey, opening? Nah, we're just gonna guns of firing off. And they impressed me. Like, visually, this show impressed me this week. I see the stuff, I see people say, oh, here's this 3-second shot, and here's this 3-second shot, and here's this 5-second shot. I'm like, yeah, it's not the best produced thing. But in general, does this show look ugly to me? At no point, no, has it looked ugly. And there's actually been some pretty incredible action sequences. I don't think there's anything wrong pointing out stuff that bothers you, but like, when I look at what a 5-minute fight at the start of this episode, that just like the crystals and the movements, it's just, they were going out completely balls to the walls insanity. And it really, I found, honestly, the thing that surprised me the most was actually the facial reactions and the simpler movements. Like, I mean, you obviously have those moments like with Peacemaker looking like he's straight out of JoJo with his dramatic faces. Harley Quinn had probably the best production out of any of the characters. The amount of time she just like had such expression, pain, frustration, anger, all these different emotions. And you really got across for her character and how she was feeling. And I just love the idea that, I mean, at the end of the day, could you dumb down this story to basically, okay, Suicide Squad wants to basically lessen their jail time. They get thrown into an isekai world. There's some other magical kind of superhero-like beings causing a ruckus as there's a war where a queen's clearly keeping it active for some political gain. Yeah, is that the most original idea ever? No. But is it fun for me? Absolutely. And I think it really just comes down to, as someone who's been reading comics my whole life, consuming superhero media, this just feels like what I would expect. Like, there's so many movies or, you know, stuff that I've seen over the course of my life for superheroes, and I'm just like, that's exactly what I'm getting. It doesn't feel surface level, it just feels like it's doing a fun idea. And I think one of the best things that this show has going for it is that rather than trying to make the most complex story, they have a a suitable story, something that works for both sides, both on the isekai and the superhero dynamic, but they focus more on the characterization. And it's not to say the characterization is the craziest thing ever, but the idea that the characterization, I mean, just look at that moment. So, amazing fight. Such variety, right? You can look at Shark on his underwater stuff, the aerial stuff. It's just so good. But afterwards, Shark is a little depressed. And by a little, I mean the boy's just, he's sulking. And the idea that they come over and they're trying to like make him feel better. Basically, as they put it, you know, sharks can regrow their teeth, so I'm trying to demonstrate that you can regrow your balls. Like, get out of your woe is me mindset and let's go kick some ass. Obviously, first one gets a little hurt from trying to yank it out. Clayface manages and honestly rip Clayface. That is the true death of the show when he's like, you bastard, you ripped my tooth out. But it works. Those moments go a long way to really like say, okay, you know, just the way they're bonding. The fact that Harley was so devastated, right? When she thought everyone was dead. The fact that when Shark is down for the count, even though they're basically calling him a pussy, like there's no other way to put it, they are. They're just saying, you're pathetic, bro, get up. But they're still actually legitimately helping their friend. All that's good, but the stuff with the princess, and when was it, episode 4 or something like that, when we got like the flashback with her friend and stuff, I'm like, oh shit, like did the mom kill this kid? You know, was it just they died because of starvation? We get more of that in this episode, and we get the clarifying moment that basically because of stuff she would say, you know, if you never would have told your little friend this, they never would have died. And it's like, oh, that's even more painful than I realized or initially thought when they initially brought it up. The fact that you can dumb down a lot of this show to Queen Bitch. Not great for the kingdom, clearly keeping the kingdom at war longer than needed. Princess, who very much is in a situation that is devastating for her because she's so kind-hearted and wants to go against naturally the ruler, her mother of this kingdom, but obviously fears for what's going to happen. You can dumb down a lot of this, but that's not a bad thing. Like, if this was a type of story that went on for dozens and dozens of episodes, I would probably need it to be more complex than what they're setting up for at least 10 episodes. I still feel like it's going to be a surprise split core or there'll be a season 2 announcement. It does feel like a 20 episode show to me, but I'm welcome to have a short, sweet, to the point one. But I have different expectations for what I'm watching. When I jump into an hour-and-a-half DC animated film, I don't expect to have this insane arc of characterization and storytelling. I just need it to be good. And for a show that's going to run for a few hours, all things considered, I have a similar approach. Just give me something fun that feels like a Suicide Squad story. Take deviations, change characters' personalities, go ahead, do whatever you want. Just make it feel solid, and for me it is. I really don't think this is the best show of the season. I don't think it's the greatest show I'm going to watch this year, but it definitely will be one of the shows I remember fondly from this year when I approach next, because it just is a unique take. Not going to be for everyone. That's okay, but I do feel like some people are a little too harsh on a superhero story simply feeling like a superhero story. Let me know what you're feeling though down below. I absolutely love this episode, easily my favorite out of the 6. I thought last week would be hard to top, but here's episode 6 to prove me wrong. Let me know what you're feeling down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, hitting that bell, and like I mentioned, for live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So alrighty, so today we got Omar, Jay Vorty, Cephalin Coda, and Connor Brown. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.